Okay, go ahead and make sure that you've got your worksheet flipped over to skill number 2 side. This is where we're going to be working on combining like terms. Now, listen to me. Um, the issue is that you're trying to make this a lot harder than what it is, and usually combining like terms is when you have a whole lot on one side of an equation, at least in seventh grade, and we need to kind of shrink this down. We need to get it down to smaller. We need to clean it up and organize. Very much like if you took a look at a teenager's room. This looks like a very polished teenager's room, but then if we threw in some Coke bottles and some clothes on the floor, I would say, well, how would you go clean it up? And hopefully you would say, well, what I would do is I would start like getting a pile of all the bottles into one spot, so that way then I could take them out of here and I'd see I've got like 5 code red Mountain Dew bottles on here. Okay, so then I could put these into the trash. Now the next thing you do is you'd be like, well, what about the dirty clothes? And so you're like, well, here's a shirt that was laying on the bed, so I'll toss that into a pile. Here's some pants, and here's another shirt. Next thing you know, once I put the clothes over into the hamper, that's out of sight. The room's looking good, and then I would go get a trash can and or recycle, whatever's available in your area. And next thing you know, you've cleaned up your room. But the idea of cleaning the room up was is that you were grouping like items together. All the clothes items went into the dirty clothes. All the trash or recyclables went into that, and anything else that was left over, maybe you put it back in the proper spot. But that's how we basically cleaned. So now when we take a look at a problem like this for number one, the first thing that I'm going to say is just anytime that you see a letter here that doesn't have a number in front of it, just go ahead and stick a 1 in front of it. Okay. Now start with your very first thing that you see here, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight this one, and then you scan it. You go like, here's the letter B. Are there any more B's on here? And I go, well, yeah, here's one right here. Go ahead and circle the number in front of it, if it's multiplying it, and choose the sign in front of that too. So I'm going to highlight all of this together, and then in my head, I'm going to write it out what I do in my head, but I do 1B because that's in my circled area here, right? And then see this plus 15? I stick this right beside it, and 1B plus 15B equals 16B. So I'm going to write 16B underneath the first term that I pushed together there. Now these two are gone, and they've been replaced by positive 16B. Okay, so now the next thing that I do is I go and I take a look at what's left over here. And I'm like, well, let's see, let's circle this and take the sign in front of it, and I'll call that negative 26. And then this one right here, I can call this positive 22, but when I push them together, I put what's in the circles right next to each other. So here's negative 26 and here's positive 22, but when I push it together, it looks like this, negative 26 plus 22, and that equals negative 4. So you know what I'm going to put underneath this negative 26? I'm going to put negative 4. And I'm going to shove that right up against the 16b. But this and this combine to create negative 4. And now this is my final answer. And so if this was an equation, like um, 28, if it equaled 28, then I would say, hey, now bring down the net equals 28 there. But we're not worried about this skill yet. All we're trying to do is we're just cleaning up the room. We're trying to put together like terms, things that can be added together here. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. I can't put that together because this has an N, but I can put this together right here. Huh, there we go. And in this case, because we're always used to taking care of the plus 20n, with the sign in front, that just drops straight down like that. Now this one's a little bit different. Negative 9 plus 9 is 0. So basically it's like nothing. You could literally just put a 0 if you want, but really it's nothing. They cancel out. Hopefully you're starting to see what goes together as I'm doing it. Now, this part right here, um, the 33b plus the 18b equals positive 51b. And so when I went to put this in front of the 45, I put a plus sign there. And the reason I put a plus sign there is that we said this was positive 51. So since it's positive 51, I put a plus right there. Okay. So from here, I want you to go try it on your paper for 6 through 20, then come back and hit play and watch me do it. So like, actually try 6, then check yourself by hitting play, pause it before you get to 7, then you try 7, hit play, and just continually check yourself there. I'll be talking less and writing more. So these are gone. You can write it as 1m, or because it was a positive 1, you can just write it as m. Notice how I always start with my first number. I start there and I kind of work my way down. And so after I take care of that, then I move on to the next available number after I've combined whatever I could with the first. Again, these two numbers add up to equal a positive number. That's why I'm putting a plus sign right there. Again, start with your first number, see if you can do anything with it. If you can, fine. If not, it drops straight down. Either way, you're making progress. So we know that all of this combines to make negative 5r. And this would be a positive 66, and that's why I'm going to put a plus right there. Again, this plus 46, the problem with it is it doesn't have an M, so it's just going to fall straight down, sign included. I know this doesn't have a letter on it, but I can go ahead and see that these two are not going to be able to combine with the 24. So the 24 positive just falls straight down. And then I just go on to the next available number that I haven't touched yet and see, can I do anything with that? Can I group that with anything? Can I combine the like terms? That equals 75n, and it's a positive 75n, so because it's positive, I'll put a plus sign right there. Now we get to a very interesting situation right here. You know, if I had negative 19 minus 28, I would say keep, change, change, and it would equal negative 47. Well, guess what? It's going to equal negative 47. It's going to have an X on there. So we still would do keep, change, change. You know, it's still going to be just like that. And move on. Thought you might need a little bit of practice again. keep, change, change. Always like to get the 1 in there before I do anything else. Okay. Really, I don't see the need for you to have to draw a circle on this. This is more of a learning tool to let you see, hey, positive 5 minus 17. So positive 5 minus 17 looks like this, and you know keep, change, change makes that a negative 10. So what do we write? Negative 12. So 5 minus 17 is negative 12, and there we are. Once you feel comfortable that you don't have to fill, that you don't have to circle, you don't have to. Again, I'm using this because we've had some trouble, and I'm just hoping you start to pay attention to that front sign because it's so important when we do this. And then it just makes simple adding and subtracting. I mean, 5 plus 16, we know that's 21. Why can I put them together? Because they both have n's, and if they have the same letter, then we can do it just as if it had no letter, you know. Um, 5n plus 21n equals 26n, you know. 8m plus 3m equals 11m. But 8m plus 5n, sorry, I can't do that because this is an m and that's an n. So, you know, you can't mix and match the letters, but if they're the same, n and n, then you can add and subtract them together.